Pike County Fiscal Court is called to order. Madam Clerk, have a roll call with members, please.
Judge Rutherford.
Present.
Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Murphy. Here. Mr. Robinson. Mr. Dodson.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
We have a quorum. We'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Magistrate Murphy.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have in your packet for the approval of the minutes of the February 5 meeting. That's been reviewed and found it to be correct. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Have a motion, Magistrate Murphy, second Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy. Yes. Mr. Robinson. Mr. Dodson. Okay. Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Today we have a ceremony which we look forward to the Fiscal Court and the Pike County government doing. And I've stated this many, many times that we are all ambassadors for Pike County. As we travel from Pike County to the rest of this Commonwealth and to other states. Many of us are ambassadors. There are very few times that we're able to be on the national stage and promote Pike County, which we all love so much. Yesterday, I participated in a meeting in our conference room from people from 3 states. And I told them that certainly we was America's energy capital, but that what we had most that we was proud of and that we could talk about was our people. And today, we'll talk about somebody who certainly is one of us. Her families have meant so much to this county over the years. The Jessica Case Boat, her family has the Case Boats, the long-standing Pike County family, and the Daniels family, which I've known all of my life. I was raised across the river. I used to be told by the people that lived at Forest Branch that Shelby was a suburb of Forest Branch and vice versa. But the Daniels family had connection with them through the railroad, where my father worked 45 years, and some of their relatives worked for many years with the railroad. But their love in these generations, just like mine and everybody else that's Pike Countyans that are native here, and those who move, and when they usually move here, they don't want to leave. We found that out over the years. And I preface that by saying, folks, that look how many state policemen we've had over the years that they stationed in Pike County, that either, a lot of them quit because they didn't want to be transferred somewhere else. A majority of them married here and made their home and contributed so much to this county. But these two families and Jessica, what Jessica has done for this county and the image of this county is something that this absolutely is great. To be able to, in the area where Hatfield and McCoy, and so much work is going into the Hatfield and McCoy, and we'll be talking in our agendas about some things today that we're doing on the Hatfield and McCoy to promote it, but so many things. And to be able to even to say that's where I'm from on national television. It equaled the Kevin Costner movie that brought all of the interest that was nationwide and worldwide, I might add, that we've had inquiries from other countries and especially Canada. So today we're here to honor Jessica especially, but in a way to honor these two families that has contributed so much to Pike County and who are hardworking. These families are hardworking families, and they don't mind to get involved in the community. And you can tell they raised Jessica right, because she decided at a very young age. I had the opportunity to attend church for a time and to see what she contributed to a church. But what this family, when you talk about either one of this family, number one thing in their life is God. And they look to the Lord for guidance, and they give him credit for everything that happens in their lives. And that means so much. And her realizing that she is from the Bible Belt, from the most patriotic area of this country, when the president declares war, the commanding officer of the United States for America, more people volunteer from the Central Appalachian area than anywhere in America. Yes, we're proud of Jessica, and I know that she's expressed how proud she is to be one of us. And I recall of enjoying so much hearing former Governor Paul Patton speak at graduation exercises when he says the children in Pike County can be anything they want to be and to do anything that they set their mind to do as any child in any part of this country. And I find that so true. So, Judge Hayes, I'd like for you to read a proclamation, and then Jessica would like to make the presentation to you and get a picture for you for your family, and to have this opportunity. And we got you a key to the county, and we wanted to save it. I know you've been through a lot. You've done a lot of traveling, and we tried to let things settle down with you and your family just a little bit before I asked Jeannie to call your mother and see if you would participate in this, so that we could tell you how much that this county government and this court appreciates and understands your love for your family. Number one, your love for your Lord and your family, and then for your country and Kentucky and this county. And being Miss Kentucky is certainly a great thing, but to go on from that and be able to participate as an ambassador for this county on the national stage is just great. Judge Hayes.
This is a resolution honoring Miss Kentucky Jessica Caseboat by the Pike County Fiscal Court. Whereas current Miss Kentucky Jessica Caseboat is the daughter of Carol and Dean Caseboat of Ford's Branch, and the granddaughter of Clinton and the late Nona Daniels of Pikeville, and Samuel and Dorothy Caseboat of Little Robinson Creek. And whereas she is a member of the Cornerstone Christian Church and attends the Broadway Christian Church while living in Lexington during her reign as Miss Kentucky, and whereas she was graduated cum laude from Pikeville High School with a 3.76 grade point average, and now attends Georgetown College, where she is majoring in English and political science and plans to teach at the collegiate level and become a published author. And whereas she has been actively involved in numerous efforts, including heart health awareness, American Heart Association, Children's Miracle Network, Habitat for Humanity, Relay for Life, March of Dimes, Pike County Humane Society, Autism Awareness, Hillbilly Christmas in July, Breast Cancer Awareness, Hope and Help, Appalachian Pregnancy Care Center, Kentucky Cystic Fibrosis Services, Volunteer for Pikeville Medical Center, Windsor Gardens Assisted Living, and RAM. And whereas, along with being Miss Kentucky 2012, Jessica is a Miss America Organization Top 15 finalist and overall third place ranking in the national vote for America's Choice, Georgetown College Oxford Honors Scholar, recipient of Georgetown College's Presidential Scholarship and Georgetown Christian Leadership Scholarship, and a member of Georgetown College's Masked Rafters Theater Troupe. And whereas as Miss Kentucky 2012, Jessica travels 4,000 miles from across the Commonwealth as the official hostess, making appearances, sharing the message of heart, health awareness, and entertaining, and is also the Kentucky Proud spokesperson for the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, promoting healthy eating habits and encouraging Kentuckians to purchase locally grown food. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Pike County Fiscal Court, hereby recognize Miss Kentucky 2012 Jessica Casebolt as an ambassador of Pike County, done in the County of Pike, the 19th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2013, executed by the Judge Executive, Wayne T. Rutherford, Pike County Attorney, Howard Keith Hall, and the magistrate of each magisterial district.
Magistrate Robinson, that's in your district. We need a motion for approval. We need a motion, Magistrate Robinson. Have a second, Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Yes. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson. Yes. Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Jessica, I'd ask you and your family if you'd come around front here with the magistrates. We'll get make the presentation and get a picture.
Judge, while she's coming up, I just want to say briefly how proud I am of her to how well she represented Pike County throughout the entire process. I know my 8-year-old was glued to the TV that night watching
I turned it over.
watching the Miss America pageant. So just want to say congratulations and thank you so much for the way you've shown a nice light on Pike County.
I didn't realize she was so tall. I knew she was tall. Man, she got those shoes on. Yeah, but with her shoes on, she's going to go about 6'1", 6. Oh, high heels.
She's got elevator shoes.
Oh, high heels. Oh, is what you're saying. Oh, you're not?
Jessica, if you would like to come around and let them hold that for you and come around to the podium and make a statement. Be glad to have you and be proud for you to come around and let us know how you feel about being a true ambassador for your county and your state too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here, and all the kind words that have been spoken. I appreciate it so much. And throughout my travels across Kentucky, I've been able to see the farthest, most obscure corners of this state, which has been an unbelievable learning experience. But just as soon as I cross that county line back home, it's the most amazing feeling. And the more that I travel, the more that I love where I'm from. It's been the best place to grow up. My family's here. My heart is here. So even though I miss Kentucky, first and foremost, I miss Pike County. So I want to thank you guys for having me here today. I try every single day as I go out and I meet new people from all across the state. I try to be an ambassador for this area. I try to show people the amazing parts of Pike County. really try to represent all the amazing people that are here, which is a big job. It's a big responsibility because I'm telling you, it's right here at home. It's the best people that I've ever met, and I think I ever will know. So to be able to represent Kentucky, but first and foremost to represent Eastern Kentucky and Pike County has been such an honor and such a blessing. So thank you guys so much for all your support throughout this entire experience. Even before I won Miss Kentucky, this area has really rallied behind me to help me get to where I am and has provided me unbelievable opportunities and has been so supportive, when it comes to program book ads or sponsorships or, even just a hug when it gets too crazy. But it's been an amazing journey, and I can't wait to finish up the rest of my years Miss Kentucky. So thank you guys so much for everything today. It's so nice of you. Thank you.
Some time ago, we lost an employee of Pike County, Jim Anderson, and Mr. Jailer, I know that come around to the podium, and we met with the jailer, Rodney Scott, yesterday, and we had talked about it before, but we want to have a ceremony later over at the jail, and we want to put a plaque on the wall over there with a picture of Jim Anderson and just to say what he meant. Jim Anderson was a businessman. I think he started out at Jenkins, and he gave a good businessman. Went to Elkhorn City, then back to his native home, and operated a business there for years. And then he moved down towards the county seat area of the county, and wanted to contribute. And I know I'm on the Y board, and he went to work with the Y, but what work he did. Jim, a top fellow, Rodney can probably tell you better than I, wanted to do the work himself a lot of time. I know each member of this fiscal court appreciated his cooperation and what he done to assist us in government in providing the services that we have to provide in this county. Today, the purpose of it is to have Judge Hayes read a proclamation of honor to him, but it will be put on a plaque, and then we will be talking to his family. I had talked to his wife some time ago and told her that the jailer and we would get together and we would figure some way out that we wanted to put a plaque to honor him with a picture on it in the jail area of the Justice Building. So, Rodney, I'll turn it over to you, and then I'll ask Judge Hayes if he will read what we got, and we'll ask if Brandon has it ready. We'll ask him to sign before you leave here today. And the jailer, he said he already has it. The jailer's name will be on this, along with members of the court and the county attorney and the jailer. And Rodney, as usual, we're always to have you. For you to come before the court. I know that it was a great loss to you on Jim Anderson and you and your staff, because he meant so much to you all and was such a courageous person who fought the terrible disease that he had to the end, but worked when he didn't feel like working. I saw him every morning at our park that I was here at the courthouse. I saw him every morning. And every morning it was a smile, and as bad as he felt, and I knew how he felt at times. So, Scott.
Judge, I'm sure Jim would be honored. His family would be honored. He was a good man, good Christian man, good family man, good employee. I think he worked with everybody here, and Jim was the type that he wanted everybody to be happy. If he brought the inmates over to do something, he wanted it to be, their best, to look the best. And I don't think any of the court ever asked him to do something that he didn't do, or at least tried to do. And he's been missed. he wasn't only a good employee, he's a good friend, and I'm sure he'll be honored and his family will be honored.
One thing I remember, Scott, is he counseled these work release people and told them about the Lord. And I was so impressed with that. I'd been out and stopped at a cemetery one day, and it was hot, and they had some ice water, and they were sitting around. I walked up on the hill, and he was talking to them about their tomorrows and how to live today and get ready for the tomorrows. And I was highly impressed of Jim Anderson. I had admired Jim for meeting him, and that he took part in his community. I remember when Apple Days was formed at Elkhorn City that he was chairman of the committee that started Apple Days. And I know that by being a Shriner that he was a brother Shriner. And I've always admired him, but I admired him more for his counseling of these people who was incarcerated. And some of those on minor charges of drugs, who he impressed on them to not use drugs and to look out for their tomorrows.
Judge, like I said, I'm sure, he would be honored, his family would be honored, and, he is well deserving, like I said, good family man, good Christian man, and you're right, he did try to lead by example, and, he's been missed. I'd like to, while I'm up here, to congratulate Jessica, for representing this county and our great state as well as she has. And I'd also like to commend Bob. I know you haven't got to Bob yet, but, on his effort to continue the history on Pike County, the Hatfield McCoys, and, he's also an old Hardy boy, and
Thank you.
couldn't happen to a nicer fella.
Hey, thank you, Jailer Scott. Now, what do we need? Judge Hayes, would you read the resolution, please?
This is a resolution honoring the service of Deputy Jailer Jim Anderson by the Pike County Fiscal Court. Whereas Deputy Pike County Jailer Jim Anderson passed away on August 17, 2012 at the age of 73. And whereas Anderson served in the U.S. Marine Corps and was the owner of Burdine Hardware in Jenkins and Anderson Hardware in Elkhorn City before serving as Deputy Jailer and coordinator of the Work Release Program. And whereas Anderson was co-founder of Apple Blossom Festival in Elkhorn City, a member of El Hassa Shrine Temple, Thomas C. Cecil Lodge number 375 F&AM, a Kentucky colonel, an honorary ambassador of labor, a member of the Pikeville United Methodist Church, where he served as trustee, and also he worked with Habitat for Humanity and World Changers and served 25 years with the Elkhorn City Volunteer Fire Department. And whereas Jim and his family provided a home for numerous exchange students and foster children over many years, and whereas he is survived by his wife of 50 years, Georgia Ann B. Anderson, one son, Alan Anderson, and his wife, Joyce of Breaks, Virginia, two daughters, Angela Lockhart and her husband, Keith, and Andrea Humphreys and her husband, Jason, all of Pikeville, and leaves behind 8 grandchildren, Bailey and Clay Anderson, Carter, Connor, and Leah Lockhart, and Cooper, Corbin, and Cole Humphreys, as well as one brother, Harry Anderson of Bean Station, Tennessee. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Pike County Fiscal Court, hereby recognize the services provided to Pike County by Jim Anderson and further recognize him as a model citizen, loyal husband and father, grandfather, brother, friend, and co-worker, done in the County of Pike, the 19th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2013, and executed or signed by the Judge Executive of Pike County, the Pike County Attorney, the Jailer of Pike County, and each of the magistrates from the 6 magisterial districts.
To have a motion to approve the resolution. Motion from Magistrate Robbins, second from Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Dodson,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
Judge, before we move on, I want to say something about Jim too. Jim was a good friend and a great employee for Rodney. I mean, he came out and took care of our schools, and it's the program that Rodney helped set up. But Jim was a big part of that program, cutting the grass and the weeds at all our schools. He came to several parks over on in District 6. Helped take care of the around the Black Gym Park and so many other things, picking up trash and Jim, he always did it with a smile. Always had a good story to tell. And every time he left, he made me promise that I'd give him a steak dinner, and I never did get to pay him that steak dinner, but I haven't forgot about it. And someday I hope I can pay him back. But he was a good man, a good friend, and he'll be missed by everybody in Pike County.
Master Dodson.
Judge, I'd like to also say that Jim left memories in many places in this county. You know, I can go around and look at some of the parks and some of the things that he had part of, he helped. And I guess the last one that he helped us with was over at the Frank Phillips Cemetery. And, you know, we can just drive around the county and see Jim in all the places that we needed him. And he was the one that began the Hatfield and McCoy Park at McCarr. You know, he came in with Rodney's inmates, and they went in and they cleared off a wilderness of garbage and trash and turned it into a beautiful park that we're all able to use today. And Jim's memories will always be with this county and especially with me, and he gained the respect of all the inmates that he took out. You know, it's a hard job taking inmates out and try to, like you said, convert them, but they all respected Jim, and they would always do what he asked them, and he kept a good hold on all of his men and all his equipment, and Rodney can probably never find anybody that will take care of the county equipment like Jim did. And he's always taking care of it, his job to the fullest. And one instance, Jim had an inmate escape down over around Walmart there one day, and Jim said, "You know, we'll get him back," but he took 2 of my saws. So he was worried more about the saws than he was getting the inmate back. But you know, to his family, I just want to commend them for having a man like Jim, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other masters have any statements? Master Robinson.
We kept it about 5 years, but he was a good person.
Yeah, Jim was a great man, and when he lived in Elkhorn, had the hardware store, and his brother had auto parts, George. Those 2 men were great assets for Elkhorn City. It was fact, but they were good people, and you can't beat them, and we'll miss them very bad.
Thank you, and Rodney will contact the family and set a time up, and we'll have a ceremony over to the entrance to the jail. Next, we have an appointment to the Pike County Tourism Commission. That appointment is a business appointment. I had to ask the county attorney's office for a legal opinion, and I got it. And my recommendation, and I had a list, and we had about, I think, Judge Cott's 3 meetings of the administrative staff, and went over each one of them that we had. And I ended up with the recommendation that Bob Scott, that he would be the business recommendation of the Pike County Judge David under the statute, and that Mr. Scott, who is here today, I'll ask Judge Hayes to have Mr. Scott come forward and to administer the oath. But first, we need to get the fiscal court's approval, and the county attorney will will explain what the situation is and the appointment and the reason we're making the appointment in the form we're doing. And then we'll let the county attorney first explain, then we'll get a motion and to do the appointment. Mr. County Attorney.
Judge, pursuant to KRS 91A 360, paren 1, paren C, one commissioner shall be appointed from a list of 3 or more names submitted by the chamber or chambers of commerce existing within those governmental units. However, at the bottom of that particular paragraph, if no local chamber of commerce is in existence upon the establishment of the commission or upon the expiration of the term of a commissioner appointed pursuant to this subsection, then one commissioner shall be appointed by the appropriate chief executive officer or officers from persons residing within the jurisdiction of the commission and representing local businesses. Now, when this commission was initially formed, there was a local chamber of commerce. I reviewed the facts as I understand them. I do not think there's any longer a local chamber of commerce. There is a regional chamber of commerce. Since there's no local chamber of commerce, I think the appointment is to be made by you, subject to fiscal court approval, and the person must reside within the jurisdiction of the commission and must represent local businesses. This would not prohibit the Regional Chamber of Commerce from submitting names and you considering those names if you so desire, but I do not think you are bound by that list because my interpretation would be that there is not a local Chamber of Commerce that is restricted to representation of businesses who all are within the jurisdiction of Pike County.
Do I have a motion to approve my recommendation?
Yeah, I'll be happy to make the motion, and as I'm making the motion, I'd like to read a little bit about Bob Scott. He gave me a bio of his just a moment ago, and I wanted to read that for everybody. We passed it around, but I'll read it for Pike TV, the viewers. Bob Scott began his career in asset protection arena in 1983, focusing on helping clients preserve their estate through advanced planning. Bob has helped hundreds of successful clients reach their planning objectives. He is associated with Creative Asset Services of Pittsburgh and the professional planning team of Boca Raton, Florida. Acquiring an extensive background in planning and business arena, he continues to stay up to date with the many changes taking place in the industry, works with professionals to understand the strategy that will assist clients to cope with economic change and asset protection in today's litigious society. Bob is frequently invited to conduct workshops and seminars for attorneys, CPAs, banking institutions, physicians, charities, and various organizations. Over the past few years, Bob has worked very closely with hospitals, clinics, including the American College of International Physicians, state and Philippine medical associations. Bob received his master's degree in education from Morehead State University. As a planning specialist, he understands that continuing education is of paramount importance to keeping abreast of the rapid changing times. He successfully completed his Certified Estate Planning designation through the Academy of Certified Estate Planners of Madison, Illinois. In 2012, Bob worked with National Geographic, Half Yard Productions, CBS, Big Noise PR, and the University of Kentucky's Program for Archaeological Research in reference to the Diggers series Hatfield and McCoy episode. Bob desires to give back to his community. In his spare time, he's active in the local Chamber of Commerce and promotes tourism. He also volunteers as an assistant baseball coach at Belfry High School. He lives on Hatfield-McCoy Mountain at Hardy, Kentucky, along with his wife, Rita, and their dog, Frazier. So I'm happy, Your Honor, Judge, to...
I have a motion on my recommendation to the magistrate. Have to have a second.
Judge, I'd like to second, and also I'd like to say that as a member of this court, we want to thank Bob for turning his property over to the people to come in and view the well and the site on his property. And Bob, I just want to thank you for all the things you've done for this county, and I know you'll be an asset on the board, and we look forward to working with you.
He truly opens his home and his property up to the hundreds and hundreds of visitors that come to see the McCoy home site, and that's got to be a nonstop barrage of of visitors that they welcome with open arms, and they treat them well. And we, Bob, I just want to say publicly, we too appreciate all that you and your family have done for tourism in Pike County.
No other statement. I would, Madam Clerk, have a roll call the vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. We have with us requested to make a statement, Mr. Arnett from the Regional Chamber of Commerce, I might add. So you're welcome to make a statement if you desire.
I appreciate that, Judge. I'd like to address the members of the court. Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, we provided our names of recommendations pursuant to KRS, and we really believe that we still are a local chamber of commerce. We represent 320 businesses in Pike County. Our county offices and headquarters are less than a quarter mile away from this Pike County courthouse. KRS says a chamber of commerce existing within the government territory. We are definitely within Pike County. From our chamber perspective, we believe this is outside the legal limits. I don't know Mr. Bob Scott, and I have great respect for him, and it's not that I have an issue with him. It's an issue that it's the law, and the chamber gets to make their recommendations, and we would like to protest that appointment, and we will be following suit with that. So,
Mr. County Attorney.
We will vigorously defend any lawsuit. Obviously, it is the Southeast Chamber of Commerce's right and privilege to file a lawsuit, and we'll let a judge decide the issue. I'm comfortable with my opinion, and I assume your attorney will be comfortable with his opinion, and that's the reason we have judges.
we appreciate that, and I will definitely let our businesses know that.
I have a question.
Yes.
How many businesses do you represent out of Pike County?
Just under 200, so about 175.
Okay. And how many members do you have outside of Pike County?
That's that number.
And I realize you're not an attorney, and
That's correct.
And I don't mean to ask you a legal question, but had you submitted 3 names of business owners from Floyd County, would we not, under your theory, have been bound to select for the Pike County Tourism Commission a Floyd Countyan if you put 3 Floyd Countryans on that list?
I think that would be a completely separate issue.
Well, I mean, what do you think, without giving a legal opinion?
Without the legal opinion, I don't think so, because they're not from Pike County. We pick Pike County businesses, Pike County business people.
But you used to be the Pike County Chamber of Commerce, did you not?
That's correct.
And while your offices may be here, you don't exclusively represent just Pike County, do you?
Not exclusively, but we're the only chamber that does represent those businesses in Pike County, and we are here in Pike County.
I'm going to dispute that a minute, because
I
the
was gonna
Tug
say
Valley
that too,
Chamber
Chris.
of Commerce represents a whole lot of businesses in Pike County.
Exactly.
And Mr. Scott is a very active member of that Chamber of Commerce. So for you to say that your Chamber of Commerce is the only one that represents business in Pike County is not true, Mr. Arnett.
Okay.
Any other comments or statements?
Judge, I have one. I asked the judge a few months back to try to get a board established to represent all of our county people. And how many do you have on that board that represents the area that we live in and where everything happened at?
Right.
How many do you have doing that?
We have a board of about 29 as our board members. We put 20 of those, 18 to 20 are probably from Pike County.
How many from that area?
Which area?
Over where the Hatfield-McCoy situation happened. I know you don't only represent the Hatfield-McCoy, but that's one deal that we're working on right now, trying to get some local representation.
Yeah, definitely. I completely
it was
agree.
requested for the judge to try to establish a board or try to do something that we could get some representation from that side of the county. You know, it's not only the city, it's the county, and this is where it all happened at.
Right.
And we would love to have somebody over there to step up to the plate and say, hey, we're wanting our share of the recognition.
Right. Again, I have no contest of not contesting his credentials at all, just the process that we went through to get there.
Judge Hayes, and then we'll move on.
One final question, Mr. Arnett. Is it not true that the three names that were submitted were all Pikevillians? They were all from the city of Pikeville.
That's not correct. One of them lives outside the city limits.
Oh, well, very close, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In essence, they were from the Pikeville area.
That is completely.
You did not submit a name from Pine Creek. You did not submit a name from Peter Creek or Blackberry.
But Pikeville is in Pike County. Are there any other Pikeville representatives on the board?
There are plenty, but there's no until Mr. Scott was named. There is no person from Pine Creek on that tourism.
It's the chamber's discretion, though. I mean, that's the reason the statute was written that way, so the business community had a voice. The biggest voice in the county, representing the businesses of Pike County, just got disquieted and has no voice. So,
Mr. Arnett, are you saying that our coal miners are no business people?
No, I did. They're members.
Hey, you know, they
members.
They represent the county too.
Definitely, they're members.
Judge Hayes said there, you know, we're just asking for somebody to represent the back side of the county, which has been known, but really it's the front side of the county, because when you come out of West Virginia, that's the first part you hit, Pike County.
Had we had this discussion, it's not to say that Mr. Scott wouldn't have been on our list. But as it stands, he wasn't, and our list was ignored. So,
okay, let's end this and move on. We got business to conduct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arnett. I want to acknowledge the receipt of the audit of the Big Sandy Regional Industrial Authority. Acknowledge the receipt. Need a motion to acknowledge. Have a motion to have a second. Have a second, Master Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. We at the last meeting we talked about a county ordinance or county law on fireworks. County Attorney's Office is still working on that.
Judge,
Go on, Mr. County Attorney. You have done some work on it, so give us your
let me just say
what
where
you've
I'm at
done.
on that. After looking into this, Judge, I don't feel that we need a county ordinance. KRS 227.710 regulates the sale and use of display fireworks. And specifically, it provides that in counties basically that in cities, the chief of the fire department or the mayor, where there is no fire department, and in counties outside of the cities, the county judge executive may grant permits for supervised public displays of fireworks. These permits are to be filed with the state fire marshal at least 15 days in advance of the date of the display. But specifically, it provides that for purposes of this subsection, public display of fireworks shall include the use of pyrotechnic devices or pyrotechnic materials before approximate audience, whether indoors or outdoors. So I think actually state statute has preempted this field, and that we are covered, and before anyone could use fireworks indoors or flares, any kind of pyrotechnic, they would need a permit, and I feel that we are already covered by KRS 227.710 and don't see the need for a county ordinance. I think the field's been preempted.
Thank you, Mr. County Attorney. Judge Scott, would you minister Judge Hayes, would you administer the oath to Mr. Scott, and have the tourism director and staff come up with you, please?
Bob, if you would raise your right hand, I'm going to read this and you can say I do at the end. Do you, Bob Scott, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky as long as you continue a citizen thereof, and that you will faithfully execute to the best of your ability as a board member of the Pike County Tourism Commission and Convention Bureau, according to law, and do you further solemnly swear or affirm that since the adoption of the present Constitution, that you, being a citizen of this state, nor out of it, have fought a duel with deadly weapons within this state, nor out of it, nor have you acted as a second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person.
I want to talk about the firearm.
Yes, sir.
You may want to say a few words if that's agreeable.
That's agreeable, Judge Hayes. Bob Scott.
Yes, sir. Would like to thank each and every one of you for the opportunity that exists before each and every one of us. I think we all see the opportunities. It's kind of hard to start off, I guess you would say, in a manner of what I would call feuding and fussing. I spoke with Rio Hatfield the other day, which most of you all know Rio. He signed, along with Bo McCoy and Ron McCoy, the truce many years ago with the Hatfields and McCoys. And Rio said, you know, here's an opportunity. When I say you know, every time I say that, I think of a dear friend, Frank Welch, which was a dear friend of many of you, and it was a tremendous loss. But every time I say that, I think of him. But in saying that, I have no pig in the hunt, as I have told National Geographic, CBS. That was a wonderful opportunity to work with them. And they have said to me, we are sitting on a real, explosion, that if we just recognize and all work together, Eastern Kentucky, Southern West Virginia, in my opinion, will never see in 1 year the History Channel, a mini-series, CBS at Hardy, Kentucky. How many times is that going to happen? Not too often. Diggers, pickers. How much more do we want? We should have it now. I think we all recognize it, and if we can all work with states working together, political leaders, civic leaders, educational leaders, and jump on this. America, as CBS told me after the interview at the well, probably a week after that, called me and said, saying thank you. And of course, I was acknowledging them, keeping it very positive as well. And they said, we've had more hits on our website than anything over the past year on that Hatfield McCoy thing. I said, that's great. He says, America is enthused with the Hatfields and McCoys. So if we keep that same approach, I even had a nephew call me 2 weeks ago, and his little boy, which is in private school in Boca Raton at St. Andrews, their class, third graders, you look at Jessica's determination in her eyes, her love for Kentucky, her love for the mountains. And then we step down the road all the way to Florida, and we got a group of third graders that we don't even know that's enthused with the Hatfields and McCoys. So that tells us something. Thank each and every one of you for the opportunity to serve, and we'll work through this and make a positive thing out of it. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. County Attorney, I think we had a question that Magistrate Dotson raised, and you did some research on it. Would you give him
Magistrate Dotson threw me a little bit of a curveball last meeting when he talked about some firearms. Upon reflection, I remembered the statute that he was talking about. Specifically, the last legislature adopted KRS 65.870. Local firearms control ordinance is prohibited. And going into effect the first of the year, if we'd had any statutes on the books trying to control firearms, we would have needed to have taken them off the books or been subject to certain penalties. But basically, KRS 65.870 says that the state has preempted the field of control of local firearms. There is an exception, KRS 237.115, that the local government could adopt an ordinance prohibiting the carrying of a concealed deadly weapon within a governmental building. And it's kind of ironic. I was at a seminar for county attorneys last week, and this specific issue came up. And what is ironic is we could prohibit the carrying of a concealed deadly weapon, but if someone wanted to come in with 2 guns in their holsters, we couldn't prohibit the carrying of a gun into a governmental building. So it's kind of an ironic situation. But I think that's what you were referring to at the last meeting, and I apologize. You caught me by surprise, and I had forgotten about that statute.
Well, Roland, I guess what you're saying is as long as you keep your guns on the table or out on the side, then they're legal. Is that right?
That's correct.
And they can go into any building that we have?
Except for the Hall of Justice, they do allow the judicial centers to do the firearms check. But we could not prohibit someone carrying a gun into our meeting if he had his shotgun slung over his shoulder.
Well, they can't hardly use it unless they keep it on their side.
Thank you, Mr. County Attorney. Next thing we have, and awarding of bids, and Frankie, we're ready to give you a recommendation, I think, and think you have the figures.
Judge.
In regard, go ahead.
So we can just scratch that one on about the fireworks, sir? Just scratch it off?
Yes.
Okay.
But we've done due diligence, I think, because a lot of work has gone into it. The Corps of Engineers was contacted at Huntington to find out what kind of restrooms that they installed and where their source was getting them from. All we had at the last meeting, source was in the state of Washington, but they found out that they was the same company, but they had a distribution center in Pennsylvania. Also, the Charles Carlton and others had worked on it to find out if we found out, Damus, we didn't even need a concrete pad. This has a temporary, this has a 20-year warranty, and we have to construct it and put it together under their instructions, so the warranty will be in effect, and we understand that. So the cost will certainly come down. The information that we've provided, that even that the luck was that the water and sewer was on the same side where it will be placed, and it will be on, and then Jimmy Kaiser was involved, even though we have these restrictions of the floodway and floodplain, that there are a portion of the area behind the stage that they are room, even though it will not be in the floodway, it'll be in the floodplain. So it's so that is that is what we have, and Frankie has the figures together. It is we'll have to tell you which color we want. Have you noticed on the screen and on the monitor up here, I'm looking at two different buildings. It comes, and you wouldn't think that it's a temporary building by reading and looking at first, but it comes in sections, and it is out of concrete. But it has security to it. You can't, the general public can't go in and trash it and do away with the laboratories and so forth. So the Corps of Engineers says it works at all of their parks across the United States, and so certainly it'll work at Blackberry. So Hillman, next is you, and then Mr. Stacy, you can take it from there.
Judge, I'd like to say that I thank you for having Summit come by last Friday, I guess it was. Mr. Stacker and Charles was with them. And also they brought along Mike Blackburn, which is over the Laurel Land Company, that we've been trying to so long locate and talk to about the property across the road. And I wish Jimmy Kaiser had been there. He's their floodplain coordinator, but they had presented me with a map, and I'm sure that Mr. Stacker and Charles probably has a map also of what they had presented. It's an aerial map, and where they had recommended the building to be built was across the road out of the floodway, I guess that's what you would call it, wouldn't you, Jimmy? Is it the floodway or the flood plan? I mean, where the building is, that's in the floodway, right? The stage. But anyway, they had recommended that we go across the road. It's out of flood area. And
Summit Engineering, Magistrate Dotson, is not a part of this. Their contract ended on the after the $90,000 was paid them on the first phase of the Skyland Trail, and they was called and told that their contract had ended, and so there's not any dispute on that.
Who sent them over there?
They don't know yet.
Charles was with them.
Charles didn't. They didn't ask them to come. They just showed up over there.
Who asked them to make the
They
map?
said that they was over there to have to do with the production for the Elkhorn City Group, and the stage is what their purpose was over there for. We met with Mr. Gillum after he returned back over here, and he said their purpose over there was not, and they realized their contract was up in regard to that. The company that we're dealing with, looks like we may only get a lease and or a easement for the purpose of parking. So we'll still be working on that, but we are to the point now that we need to advertise, and Frankie can give us and put as you stated, you wanted to get this thing, we want to get it done. Also, I can advise you that and Rhonda James, we have been informed that this money will not be carried over after this year from severance tax, and it has to be spent by June the 30th. So that is one reason we need to move forward. But this is a project that Magistrate Dotson has worked so hard on, and we want to bring it to fruition. And to do that, we've got to move on it, and Frankie's got to put it out for bid.
Judge, I don't know who asked Summit to come in. I didn't. We had the meeting set up for 3 times last week, and each time they'd get canceled. And it was through your office that was contacting me. Penny called me and said they was going to meet.
The meeting with the company representative was the key to getting them there.
But Mike Blackburn did say that there was a section of property there that they were going to pretty much, he said, we'll give you that, but the rest of it we'll have to enter into a lease.
The decision will be made from Abington, Virginia, from the corporate office. That's what Mike Blackburn had given us. We have that in writing, and the other one, we dealt with them on the housing property at Pico Hollow. And we thought we had that property until it got to Abington, to the corporate, and they said, no, that we're not giving that property to the county for housing, which was a great location for housing. So we're hopeful.
Have you talked to Mike since last Friday?
I only talked to the people in Addington. Now, Mr. Carlton had to be at the Methodist Hospital for tests this morning, or he would have been here. But no, I will be talking to the people in Abington.
The way he talked, that he could swing the deal to give us the deed for the property there to build this building out of the flood area. Then the rest of the property, he would have to lease it.
What we don't know is whether or not we're even going to get the property under an easement, a lease, or anything else. But we have got to move this project forward and it qualifies across the road because you have a river trail that goes into the river, and this money was designated for trail, and on this property has restrictions on it, of course, and then if we got the property from this company, it would also have restrictions on it.
The property he's going to give us don't have no restrictions.
If they write them in, Mr. County Attorney, I'd defer to you for that. But if they write them in when they give us the deed, there would be restrictions? Yes, there would be.
Are you talking about flood restrictions?
No, I'm talking about restrictions they would place on it, the use of the property.
Well, if he gives it to you, how's he going to restrict it?
Restricted by deed.
I mean, no, if they know we're going to build a bathroom on it.
The restrictions is on the property that we received through the Corps. They've got, pretty significant restrictions on it. The property that you're talking about, if the coal company has fee simple, I would assume it would have no restrictions other than not building. I would defer to Jimmy. You still couldn't build in the floodplain, though, could you? Or you'd have to elevate it if you.
But Roland is not in the floodplain.
Oh.
But, you know, I'm trying to explain to you guys, I've seen a map, and you've seen it. Do you have a copy of it? And it shows the restricted area and the non-restricted area.
Correct.
And the property across the road where they were going to give us, where the railroad was, there's no restrictions on it.
Let me
It
tell
shows
you,
the deed.
let me tell you what else it shows. It shows an area behind the stage that is not a restricted area.
It is restricted there.
It's not restricted.
Well,
under the floodplain. Part of it is, most of it is. 80% or 90% is. But that's not the question today. Question today is to get Frankie to put this out for bid, and also to put it out for bid so that the other trailheads that would have to bid in the future, that it be worded so that this building could be purchased at the same price.
Judge, if you remember the last court meeting, we asked Frankie to look at this building, right? And also get us a bid. And our people at Damas's, I've talked to them, they were going to come up with a building that they could build out of block and mortar. And we were going to try to compare them. The people at Summit said this building would probably be double what we could build one for.
With their bill, you know, they charge you for their work. The question of where the bathroom goes don't have to be resolved today. What needs to be resolved is to get this building out for bid. The question is not where the building will be located. The question today is to get a motion and get this building out for bid.
Judge, do we have a size on this building? I've looked at it.
We got all the information.
Have
Frankie
you-
has
have you
it.
got-
He can give you the size. You can look at your monitor. There's your building. It is a secure building. It is. It has the size and all.
I've looked in on
Used
the
all
bid
of-
package, and I don't see any size on it.
This is used in all of the national parks in the country.
I believe they might be one of our fish traps.
There, I think they are one at Fish Trap.
I think the one actually down by the ball field, down on this side of the spillway, is the same about building.
Same, I think so, Bob.
All what I want to know is what size it is. And you know, if you're going to sell a man a building, you first thing you're going to do is put down how big the building is.
Him, according to this right here, it's 17 by 10.
17 to 10.
Yes. 17 foot wide.
That ain't much bigger than an outhouse.
Have you seen the picture of it?
Have you seen the picture?
Okay.
That's a beautiful building.
10 foot is not a very big building.
They don't recommend at their national parks that they have big buildings.
Judge, I know that you're wanting this building, but I think that we need Damas to come up with some kind of a.
You're not going to have time to go through everything that needs to be gone through to get this money allocated and the building built before June 30th when the production starts over there. We want the production to be on Blackberry. We want it to be over there. We got to have the restroom.
That's something
And I'm not arguing that case.
I ain't gonna argue
Where
with
it
you.
goes don't even need to be decided today. But the building has to be, we have to get this out for bid.
But Judge, what I'm saying is, me and you needed to sit down and talk before the meeting, because me a meeting with these people, I've got to understand what they're wanting, and they've not met with you. Don't sound like, but
Who hasn't met?
Susan Richardson. You know, they had recommended us go behind the building, the stage, and build.
Well, their room for
Not
that.
a bathroom.
Yes, their room
I mean,
for the stage and the bathroom.
Let me finish, though. It's not a bathroom. It's a dressing room, and they was wanting a small bathroom put in there for them to use.
That's not our purpose. Our purpose is
You know,
to
if
get
we're gonna-
bathroom for the public to be legal. We have to be legal.
Well, that's what I'm trying to ask you, you know. We've got this building already built, and they just want to extend it out for a dressing room so they can do their
The
performance.
dressing room will be separate from this, be discussed separately. This is a public restroom, which we have to have on this park, which the public will have to have if they come to these productions in June. And we can't delay getting this done.
Judge, I just can't see how you can recommend a 10 by 17 building to be built for 2 bathrooms and showers and everything. It's not big enough.
I challenge you to go up to the fish trap and look at that bathroom and then look at the other ones at other parks. And I don't know why we're getting in this deep a discussion today, because today is only to get this out for bid, not the location.
That's what I thought we were going to do, bid it both ways. Let Damus come up with a plan that he can give you with brick and mortar, because we've got to go in and pour a cement slab.
Oh, you may be getting into your restrictions with building it with this 20-year warranty. The way they say build it on compact gravel will be a temporary building. You're getting into, again, the restrictions if you have to build it over on the side where the stage is.
I think you have to do that. That's what I've been trying to explain to you. Summit says we can't.
Summit is not involved in this, Magistrate Dotson.
But they are the engineers that's got the maps showing where the floodplain is. Maybe Jimmy Kaiser.
Those maps were provided to us by Mr. Kaiser, not by them. Those maps came from our office here. So,
Mr. Thacker, where'd you get that map at that day they had over? Who had them maps? Do you have a map that you can show the judge where he's wanting to build a bathroom?
I've already looked at the map. We've already had it in 2 or 3 meetings. Look, we can bid it now. Whether we accept the bid or not, that can be decided later. But we have got.
Go
to
ahead,
get
Judge,
this
and
out
do
for
whatever
bid.
you want to.
I'll make the motion that we put it out for bid, and then we can make our mind up where it goes and what kind of building to be built. I have a second
Is that a bid on this building here?
on that building there.
But you're not restricted to another
we have
bid.
to accept the bid.
Okay, I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Have a roll call vote, and let's move this forward so we won't lose the money.
Magistrate Anderson.
I've been there. I have been there.
Bring Jimmy with you, and we'll figure out what we're going to do. That's the best way to do it.
No problem. We can do that.
Magistrate Anderson.
Frankie, you know what you're bidding out? Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Yes. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson. Yes. Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Next, we have on the agenda the FEMA mitigation program. Jimmy Kaiser is ready to begin. That's $3.2 million. Am I correct? It's ready up to get started. So that's good news for us. That's part of the buyouts over in the flood area of 09 and 10, 9 and 10. And it covers that whole area. They're located in different areas. And as we deal with these property owners, then we will give the locations. Next thing, this National Flood Insurance Program, and we keep preaching that. People in this county need to understand if they don't buy flood insurance now, if they're eligible, then it'll probably go up 3 or 4 times the rate. And also that flood insurance covers slides. You might say if I live on a hill, I don't need it. But, and I'm not going in today to the details. We've been through it enough of why that they are redoing the flood areas. But, and at they're phasing them instead of doing them all at one time like they've always done them before. But we want to emphasize, and we appreciate the East Kentucky Broadcasting, the Appalachian News Express, and helping us getting the word out to the people, and Pike TV, of getting the word out to people. Please purchase your flood insurance today. Don't come back and say when you try to buy it after April, what is that date, Jimmy? April the 15th? Mr. Kaiser, is it April, what's the cutoff? April 16th. And we don't want you to say we didn't know, because we're telling you, and we appreciate all these other media outlets that's also letting you know that to go buy your flood insurance today.
And they probably need to get it by March the 16th, because it takes it 30 days to go into effect. So
Mr. Kaiser said that his opinion, your cutoff date should be March the 15th, and that you should get it prior to March the 15th. And to you local agents out there, you're the ones that sells it, and you all need to let your people know that you do business with, that flood insurance is available when it's available to each one of your people you do business with. Next, we talked about before the income tax credit. We have, and of the 20% in Kentucky that's not filing, over $2,000 eligible to people who file, and that 20% in Kentucky is not filing. It's a state program the governor has put out statewide. We provided an office in the basement here at the courthouse of certified volunteers for IRS. And so we don't, these earned income tax credit. Plus, Carl Napier, if your people can't afford to get their, or need information in regard to filing their income tax, it's free, there are no cost. And the possibility that you ought to work with these people maybe to come to your centers and assist your directors in people who need to file, and people out in the county could come to the center during that day and also get information on filing at no cost to them. Now, this is people who can't afford to hire somebody who would be a preparer, professional preparer. So we wanted to do that today. We filed an application and we appreciate USDA and Mr. Sloan of NRCS for telling us about a program that we work with, that we're working with them and Bobby Mullins on for a livestock program to livestock that's deceased, that's something to do with it, and would bring money into our solid waste program for depositing those dead animals at our landfill. So that we just filed an application, and we have the only legal licensed landfill in eastern Kentucky. There's one at London, Kentucky, and one on the Boyd and Carter. And we think that we got a good chance of getting the money because we're the only one that probably qualify for it because we have a legal licensed landfill. So the sandbagging operation, and Damus had gave us an update on it and a schedule on it at the South Williamson flood wall. We met with Damus and Carl Napier and others with the administrative staff on the problem we have at Elkhorn City, the problem we have at Elkhorn where we had the water damage, and we again appreciate the jail crew, the work release program that we've got up there that's helping us on that. We also found out from Jimmy Kaiser that that the floodplain question was ruled in our favor, the county's favor. Now our insurance takes place. Mr. Kaiser is getting us a certification from FEMA. Carl, hopefully that'll be in today or tomorrow. Once CAECO Insurance, Mrs. Dameron, once CAECO Insurance is advised, they certainly will have somebody on the road the very day they're called. Then we will let a contract to complete, if need to, on the senior citizen building, which had extensive damage at Elkhorn City. We met to decide whether we took those people to Mouthcard or down to Marbone, but we decided, since this happened, that with possibility that we could let a contractor go in and complete, get Damus back on to his project at Elkhorn City with what little staff he's got, and get him on the salt bin in District 2 in Chick Johnson's area to get his crew back on it so that can be completed. So, and those three projects are on your front burner, and we would help you out with the Elkhorn one by taking it all and therefore give your attention to completing these two. And I'm sure that that would help you with your limited employees, because you've got one that's off right now and is going to retire. Mrs. Dameron here to tell us he's getting ready to retire. Cliff Robinson, when does he? He's already started, he's already off, so he's lost one of his employees. So that makes him short-handed, but hopefully when we get this certification, and then we can let a contract, and of course we'll be paid for the materials that we've already spent up to Elkhorn City on the Senior Citizen Center, less the $1,000 deductible, am I right? So that's information I'm sure the magistrates would be glad to get, because Magistrate Johnson, the salt bend up there that they're constructing.
Judge, on my salt bin, we might well wait till summertime now. Just winter's about over with.
Well, it's spring.
I asked what's his name about the boss over there, and he said you took him off of that to go to Elkhorn and do something. I thought you got to have salt on these roads when it's slick for people to get in and out. We were going to work on something else.
That's correct, but we had no shortage of salt. We had a contract with the state, and we could pick that up at Shelby, but we're getting him so that he can get right back on this. Weather is opening up. The fellows in my office,
don't blame him. He was willing to do it, but he got told
was in my
by other people
office last week and said the frogs are croaking.
Let me say one thing, Judge. Let me say something. Don't blame him.
I'm not blaming Damus for nothing.
The word come from you and Mr. Hayes. Is what he tells me.
Yeah,
that to not work on the salt bin, go to Elkhorn City and work on something got flooded up there or something.
Well, that's the Senior Citizen Center that had major damage.
Well, these people be no salt up in this hillside trying to slide and get killed.
Chick, the salt is at Shelby.
Salt where?
At Shelby Lot, according to what Hatcher and what Joe Stanley called, and he read the paper the other day.
Well, they mentioned to me.
Joe Stanley read the paper the other day, and he called me and said the salt's at Shelby.
First I heard about it.
Any other questions in regard to the certification on so that we can resolve the problem at Elkhorn and get them back on Chick's salt bin and get them back on the sand thing over there? And there's nothing on you, because you had nothing to do. You were pulled in every direction and continue to be pulled in every direction. But we got to get these jobs done.
Where's the bathrooms come in at, Judge?
Hillman Dotson.
Where's the bathrooms come in at on the 4? On that list, room bathrooms over there. Where they gonna come in at?
I know what you're talking about, Hillman. But he's pulled in every direction. You all do a good job with the manpower that you've got, and you've lost one more. So Judge Hayes is working to try to get you an employee back as soon as possible, because you got the swim pools coming up shortly. Any other questions? That's all we had. We have the horse trail ride on Saturday, May the 18th. Saturday, May the 18th. Magistrate Dotson.
Chick, if you need a place, they said we had to take about 7 more loads on us, right? But how many more loads we got to take? About 7? Salt. Yeah, a contract we've got signed. Well, I was saying, Frankie, if Chick ain't got nowhere to put his instead of putting it on the ground, I believe we got room over there where he can store it.
Next,
old Highs go over and get him.
Next is Magistrate's Road Work.
Motion.
Motion, Magistrate Anderson. Have a second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Yes. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Next, we had another issue that we had discussed that Magistrate Dotson had brought up, Carl, and that was and it was with Rhonda, in regard to the $100,000 that you would lose in your budget, and you would have to consider closing or cutting down the days at the Senior Citizen Center. And you have worked with Magistrate Dotson and with Rhonda, and Rhonda has conferred with, I'm sure that she knows her guidelines of what the money could be spent for, and to whether or not that we have an understanding so today that we can go ahead and solve that problem so that you can make it to the end of this budget year with having to close or cut down on your days, and as Magistrate Dotson has insisted. Now, as you know, the Board of Education, and I probably need some help, Rhonda, in explaining of how the money was prioritized and designated, but the Board of Education got $100,000, and then $100,000 went to the completion of the building. And what Magistrate Dotson had talked to us about was what was most important, what the school board had, which what I understand for Breezeway and other things, connecting all the building, or to keep the Senior Citizen Centers open. So I think that we need Magistrate Dotson and you to make sure we all understand, and to tell us about the contacts you had with the Board of Education, and then go from there, and then try to make a decision today is where we make sure that under our prioritizations, and I know that the recent meeting that we had in Lexington, that it was particularly talking to the counties that was in a lot more problems than Pike County is in regard to the severance tax, and it primarily on co-severance tax that the other counties are in trouble. A county like Knott County and Floyd County with their $1 million and something, Letcher County and others, that they was told that the money needs to, the prioritizations by the court need to be taken under consideration to make sure that you get out of the budget year with not being in the red, because under Kentucky Constitution, Kentucky law, you can't. But this is not for the purpose of that. This is the purpose of keeping the senior citizen centers open. So I'll ask you and Hillman and the county attorney, if he needs to get involved in this and see with Rhonda if we can solve this problem and by a court resolution today so that we can keep our senior citizen centers open and operating.
Judge, as you indicated, there was $100,000 that was appropriated for the Pike County Senior Citizens Program, and given the manner in which it was prioritized and given the fact that the co-severance dollars is down, it would have a detrimental impact to the Pike County Senior Program's budget if we do not receive that $100,000. So then the question became whether we could reprioritize. And then the question was posed about the $100,000 that had been allocated to the Pike County Board of Education. I was asked to get in touch with them to verify, and I did try to call Superintendent Wagner, wasn't successful in getting my phone, but I did email Roger Johnson, who responded back this morning, and he had indicated that his understanding from Mr. Wagner is that the monies was going to be used for asphalt. He said that was all that Mr. Wagner had indicated to him. And that's the question that's posed. What we're asking, the Pike County Senior Program Board is asking that we be moved up on the list, as I stated earlier, and as you said as well. It will have a detrimental impact. If we don't receive that $100,000, I had our accountant look at the situation, and it appears that we're going to have to cut even farther. And the unfortunate part is we've already made cuts. And so if there's any way that this court could, and if we could move that up the list, we would be most appreciative.
Rhonda, how many projects did the legislature set for Pike County total?
How many projects total?
Yeah, the legislature set by law. How many was it?
I don't remember how many the total.
Okay, we need to get that figure because we need to get that figure because we in the House And Madam Treasurer, I think we, by our projections, was to the number 35. Was that what we had discussed in the past, that we thought may be funded originally?
I think there was like 40 or close to 50 for the 2012,
But
2013
35
that
was
was
the figure that we
prioritized.
said looked like they overextended the project for the amount of money they had. But that wasn't what happened. We got minerals tax was down so much that.
Judge, could I? And I'm talking from memory, which may be dangerous. My recollection is that the Senior Citizens Program was approximately number 19 on the prioritization list. When Rhonda and I initially calculated how far we thought the severance tax would go, we thought they were probably on, as basketball season, that they were on the bubble, that they would be the last one to get funded one way or not funded. With the shortfall coming in even greater than what Rhonda and I had projected, they will not get funded unless they are reprioritized. And looking at the projects that they could possibly be reprioritized with, one of the projects was the school board for the Kemper Community Center, and the reason that one was picked is because the fiscal court had gotten $100,000, and there's some of that money left, is my understanding, that can be used for asphalt, is it not?
Yes, that's correct. The remainder amounts, we were asked to get a quote on what the asphalt was going to be, and then the county was going to do it in-house. So we do have that money, so it's still available.
But unless this court sees fit to reprioritize the senior citizens by flip-flopping it with the school board allocation, the senior citizens will not get the $100,000, and it could, I don't know that they've discussed how they're going to make up the shortfall because they included it in their budget. I don't know whether there'd be personnel layoffs or whether there would be cutting of programs or what they would do, but they would have to make up a $100,000 shortfall. So really the issue for the court is whether they want to reprioritize the senior citizens up high enough by flipping it with the school board's Kemper Community Center so that the senior citizens would be funded. But I think in all fairness, we need to say that by doing that, the school board Kemper Community Center, or however it's worded, will not be funded this year because it's moving it from within the projects that are going to get funded to a level where they're not going to get funded. And I just think, to be honest, that we need to put all the cards on the table what the court would be doing.
Magistrate Dotson and then Judge Hayes.
I believe, Judge, I've got a solution for the problem if we could just work together with the school board. And me and Judge Hayes talked last week, and Carl, and I think we have probably, what would you say, Carl, 60,000 or so left in the part that the county had to go on the building?
Yes, there's approximately 60,000. If I recall correctly, Magistrate Dotson, when we got the estimate for the asphalt, I think it was around between $35,000 and $38,000, and that's if we, of course, do it in-house.
No, I think our road foreman told me that's them putting it down. So, you know, if we say we want to allow 40,000 or 35, what would be a safe number? 38?
I would think 38,000 would be a safe estimate. Yes.
So that's just going to leave us a little bit on that 100,000. But the other part, Judge, is the school board's 100,000. They've already, is the building completed now? My understanding, it's pretty much completed. Is that right?
That's what I understand. Is
with the funds that the school board had put in to finish it. So that leaves that 100,000. And talking to Mr. Wagner and Earl Thacker, they were going to take that 100,000 and build a breezeway from the gym over to the school. And it's not going to take nearly, in my opinion, that much money to build a breezeway. So, you know, I would say that they could let us have half of that money for the senior citizen program and clear them up and use the other part for the breezeway.
That's fine, and we can work it out that way, but we got to be legal when we do it. Judge Hayes? I know, but I said we got to follow the guidelines, and Rhonda, you will have to help us stay within those guidelines. Judge Hayes.
As I understand it, Master Dodson and Commissioner, you have about 60 left, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And 38 to do the blacktopping asphalt, put the asphalt down that what the school board wanted to do. We can do that for the 38, which leaves us 22 to build that breezeway. I think, and I believe you thought, we could build the breezeway. We'll probably have to use in-house people. We'll have to get Damus another worker, carpenter. But they could buy the materials, Master Dodson, and we could use our in-house people to construct it. And I think we could do it. I know they need the $100,000 to get through this year. And it was just they probably would have been higher, and you know, but none of us had that good old crystal ball to look at. And now we've got to do something for our seniors. So I hope we can get that for them.
So, Rhonda, what do we need to do as a court in regard to any court resolutions that may be needed by the Office of Local Government?
I would think you just need to pass a resolution, don't you, Roland, to amend that prioritization, changing those two projects.
Yeah, you would need to do what I said a while ago. If it's the court's pleasure, if they want to flip the projects, they would need a resolution to reprioritize the senior citizens. I don't know how it's worded on there, but you would need to reprioritize the senior citizens to the spot where the Pike County Board of Education is, and move the Pike County Board of Education to where the senior citizens program is. You're basically flip-flopping the projects. But as I said, to put all the cards on the table, that's going to mean senior citizens get their money, and the Board of Education is not going to get the money because it's outside the funding.
That is the case, but it's not the case. I think you've given the case, but the money is going to be there.
Or you're not going to do it at all.
I mean, Penny, would you, after this meeting, set a meeting up at the Board of Education between Magistrate Dodson, the County Attorney's Office, and Judge Hayes and the Commissioner Napier, and set a meeting up? This is resolved, but I don't know where it can be resolved by merely moving the prioritization up. I think it's worked out, but we may have to come back to courts and the next meeting and make sure that we comply with the guidelines that Amy Barnes says we have to comply with to be eligible for the money. I think the county attorney has given you a recommendation to make sure that happened, but we've got to make sure that everybody works together to solve the problem. And it looked to me like the problem's solved.
Judge, you know, I asked Roland just then, will we have to flip-flop the project if the school board agreed, because they're on top of the list. If they agreed to do that, he says he thinks we still would have to flip-flop it.
That's what Rhonda's judgment and Amy's would have to tell us what to do on that.
The projects have to be flip-flopped because of the way they're designated. The school board can't just say, well, we're going to get the $100,000 and give it to senior citizens. That would not meet the scope of work. Right. For the senior citizens to get the money, they have to be reprioritized.
Let's set the meeting up with the school board, Penny, today. Get Magistrate Dodson when he can be available, and my calendar, and the county attorney, and let's get the motion done today, and then go sit down with them and make sure they're complete understanding. I was in the building, Carl, a month ago. I went into the whole building and looked at the building, talked with the school board member over there that day. So I think Magistrate Dodson, Judge Hayes, and the commissioners got it worked out. Let's go make sure, as the county attorney said, they are a complete understanding.
Is the purpose of this meeting, Judge, to get them to agree or just to make them understand?
Understand and agree.
I don't think, I can't see any body politic giving up $100,000 unless they have to. But
I agree with you. I agree with you, Judge, and that's why I said, you know, if we could do the transfers without flip-flopping it.
What we got over there, Judge Hayes, is because people have worked together. You know, the school board, everybody has worked together, or we wouldn't even be over there today. So we need to continue to work with the Pike County Board of Education to help resolve this.
Judge, the question I've got, and I think Roland too, if we flip-flop it and turn the money over to the senior citizens, they only need, what, 50,000? It went from 50 to 100. She just needed 50 last time I talked to her.
No, I think there was a misunderstanding maybe when that see, when we found out that there was $100,000 that was appropriated, we then put in return budgeted as such, okay, in anticipation of receiving that $100,000 within the fiscal year. My understanding was that when our board chairman had talked to you, no, there was a possibility if they didn't need that money, there might be that additional 50 that we could get. Yes, we could use that money, but it was always the intent of the board, and I apologize if there was misunderstanding on that. I guess when we were talking, I was under the impression that when the $100,000 was first thought up through the board, if the board didn't need it, we could get 50, and then Rodney Scott would get 50. That was my understanding, and that would just be an additional 50. But it never was, like I said, we've all, since we put that $100,000, that's what we anticipated receiving in this fiscal year.
Carl, you told me you were like 50,000 short in your budget to meet what y'all had projected for the year.
Yeah, the 50,000 short, what I was referring to, and again, I apologize if there was misunderstanding, is that the 50,000 would put us back at the level we were before we were cut, to where we'd have some of our centers that were 5-day operation are down to 4, and one of the centers that was 4 is down to 3. That if we had gotten that additional 50 that you were referring to, then we could have went back up to where we were before. In order to operate as we are now, we would need to receive the $100,000 that had been allocated to us that we've now budgeted for. What I had hopes was, had that come true, Mr. Dotson, is that on the additional 50 that we could have put our centers back the way that they were. So I apologize if there was a misunderstanding.
So really you need 150,000.
Ideally, yes, if we could, but I realize that's not realistic. The 100,000 is within our reach, if it is in fact reprioritized, which would keep us operating at the level that we are now. And if we get that, we'll thank God for that. So.
The only thing, Judge, if we give them the whole 100, then are we going to have enough money to finish the building? That's why I was asking the questions.
Correct. I understand. But do we need to, your recommendation is we need to flip-flop the money? I mean, the guidelines, the court would have to take action?
The court can reprioritize any of these projects. So yes, they can flip-flop those 2 projects with a majority vote. Is that correct?
We still need, now let me tell you this, there are no more carryover projects under the existing law that was passed by the legislature at the regular session. In other words, when a project is not funded this year, it's a dead project. Starts over from scratch. We have the option of telling the Board of Education that if they would cooperate with us, Judge Hayes, as you suggested, they may not want to give up their $100,000. We have the option of assuring them that we would see the next regular session of the General Assembly, that we would recommend to our legislators that they be in the top so that they would be funded and could complete the project as been planned in the past.
Judge, what you just said is not inaccurate, but I would also point out that unless the Department of Local Government has changed their minds, the projects that do not receive funding this year, when we reprioritize next fiscal year's projects, we could put the Pike County Board of Education's project towards the top of that.
We could prioritize. I didn't say we. I said
we could prioritize them towards the head of the list next year.
Sure.
Having said that, this year the legislature, and again I'm talking from memory, which is dangerous, the legislature line item approximately $8.2 million worth of projects. Even by the most wildly optimistic estimates, there was no way there was ever going to be $8.2 million of single county severance tax. Next year, they have prioritized, or they have a list of using $6.2 million. There is no way, unless something drastic happens here in the coal industry, that there will be $6.2 million in single county money next year. So not only are you going to have all the projects that didn't get funded this year, you're going to have additional projects that were slated for next year that, unless something drastic happens, they're not going to get funded either. So the situation is going to compound itself next year. But the only way that I see for the senior citizens to get their money this year is to reprioritize the project. I'm not taking a position one way or the other, but that's the only way it's going to be done, because where they currently sit on the list, there is no way that there's going to be enough single county severance tax money for them to be funded this year.
Well, I appreciate you being honest. You've always led us in the right directions, and we always don't agree on everything, but I sort of think that you're the man that gets paid for telling us what to do, and I appreciate you. But Judge, me and Kenneth had an opportunity to talk to Senator Jones in Lexington last week, and Kenneth asked him about all these projects of being on the list. You know, why there's so many of them on there, there's not enough money to fund them. And Kenneth, if I am not saying it right, you let me know, but didn't he say that they were taking recommendations from the committees that tells them how much funds it's going to be allocated from coal severance? And that's how they make their list. But the money is way short than what they had anticipated that they were going to get. But it kind of looks like to the people and the public that this court is chopping these projects off. But, you know, we didn't put them on there to start with, but we're going to get blamed for eliminating some that don't get funded. Is that about the way you understood it, Kenneth?
So what is your pleasure, gentlemen? Do I have a motion? A motion to flip-flop it, and then we'll set a meeting up and talk to the...
Judge, I would like to make a motion that we flip-flop it. I think our seniors are more important, and if what they're telling us, the building is pretty much completed,
Right.
and, you know, if they've got excess money laying there that they don't need, then I think they will be willing to turn it over to our senior citizen program.
Have a motion, have a second. Master Robinson, have a roll call vote, please.
Master Anderson.
Now, are we making this motion contingent on them agreeing to do this, or? Let me just flip-flop it. Who talked to Roger Johnson? You talked to... Of the Hillman's project? You just... Okay, I'll vote yes.
Master Johnson.
Well, I'm about such a shape, it was about that, what I got up there at Chevy, you know, I was talking to you about the other day, Rod, about that senior system up there, about putting a roof on it and all that thing.
That's funded, Chick.
Okay.
That's funded already.
Chick, all this money is the money that was going to go to Kemper.
Okay.
It ain't got nothing to do with
Chick on that one.
Okay.
Money's there.
Okay, yes.
Master Murphy. Yes. Master Robinson. Master Dodson.
Yes.
Master Harris.
Yes.
Judge Ruth.
Yes.
Hello.
Magistrate, it's... Okay, Magistrate Johnson, any comments? Chick?
What's that?
Any comments? Magistrate comment?
I guess I've already talked to you.
Magistrate Murphy? Magistrate Dodson?
Judge, I'll try to be short. We got a few things I think it's important that we talk about. I talked to Doug last week about our ambulance service and talked to you about it. And as of what I know now, we still don't have a stationary ambulance service in Phelps, do we, Doug?
No, not in Phelps. They found a place on the other side of the hill there, just above Long Fork, that they're going to rent and try to provide service out of there to Phelps and Grapevine area.
Doug, you know, and I know that the people over there are still not going to be serviced. I mean, they might as well just kept it over at Pikeville if they're going to go to that area. You know, they had an ambulance service in the Kemper Fire Station for a long time to take care of that area. Plus, they had one in Phelps. And if we go across the hill into that area, Judge, then them people, they better get them a helicopter or get somebody to come in and take them to the hospital because we ain't going to get no ambulance service.
I brought it to Doug's attention last week, the call that I received from a coal company. On their insurance, they are required to have an ambulance service within so many minutes of their operation. And we have to see that that's done. And I had asked you, I hope you did, talk to the state, the people who was involved in that, where they will understand that these coal corporations, Hatch, you work from the coal industry, you know, it has to even be posted. Mm-hmm. It has to even be posted where the public out can see it. And they said, and they have it posted, but they said with no ambulance service, they're worried their insurance carriers is going to cancel their insurance, they're out of business. They're shutting down a operation which brings us in tax money. So it's serious beyond what Magistrate Dotson is talking about the people who live there. It gets into the economic thing of the county.
I understand.
Of mining coal.
We don't have any regulatory authority to tell them where to locate, though.
Well, they have a certificate of need from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and they have an agency in Frankfort who, if you will come to my office, get them on the phone, we will have a discussion in regard to the situation in Peter Creek. Okay. Master Johnson's telling you that the people, somebody that's injured, hurt, or sick, could die by the fact that they would have to cross a mountain and go into Peter Creek. I know they're at the foot of the mountain, I understand. Yeah. But they have to be some way, Mr. County Attorney, there have to be some way that we could even pass a county ordinance if it's not in the state statutes or the guidelines. Then we could pass a county ordinance that they have to be over there. But we got to resolve this. We got to resolve it because I received the one call, but there are many of those type operations that I told you about in Peter Creek. So if you will that agency to my office and get them on the phone, we'll put them on the speakerphone, or we'll do it on the monitor where we can look them in the eye if they got one in their offices in Frankfort. And we'll try to resolve this because it needs to be resolved not only for the people over there, but these coal corporations and companies so that they can stay in business.
Okay, we can do that.
Doug, is it 5 miles? I think it used to be they had to be within ambulance service to a mines.
No, I don't know about what the mines requires, but the state law keeps them within a 30-minute response time.
30 minutes response.
They've got to have at least a 30-minute response time.
But Doug, you know, they never did call me. You said they were going to, and I've got a number
I've
here.
asked them time and time to call you and talk to you.
I've got a number here. This guy's got a place for them to locate. He said it's got separate bedrooms for men and women, separate bathrooms.
I've gave them the
big
number.
Parking area. And that's where the Quest Care was located, there in Phelps. And he said, you know, this building is ready for them to move into, Judge.
The feedback I got on that the person who owned the building had done some remodeling, raised the rent, and that they felt they couldn't meet what they were now asking for the rental price of the property. Was my feedback correct on that?
That's correct. They said the rent was too high. Well, I don't know if they have or not. That's just what they told me, but I have given them the number and the name that you gave me.
I'm not blaming you, Doug. I'm just standing up for the people, and I think that we deserve as much as anybody else. You know, the people over there are isolated to start with, and when you start bringing the ambulance out ahead of Johns Creek, and it might be on the run over at Pikeville, right. It takes them another hour or two to get over there.
I'm with you. I understand all that. It's just I've tried to get them to go into Phelps area, and I've mentioned it to them numerous times.
Can we get the other ambulance service that was going to do the backup work to be the primary ambulance service in Phelps?
We can ask them and see if they will.
You know, they had told you they were going to do the backup work.
Right.
And they're in Phelps all the time anyway. They've got a contract with the nursing home to take care of HIT. And the guy was interested at one time in coming into Phelps. And, you know, Appalachian First Response. And they do a tremendous job.
We can check with Bill and see if he'll do that.
See if Bill will come into Phelps and be the primary carrier.
We'll ask him and see.
Judge, I hope that we can get something worked out on this.
I hope
and
so
maybe
too, because it's real important.
I just got an email from Bill Ball. You know, he sends me emails to give to you. He told me that Transtar had gotten a place 7 miles from downtown Phelps. He didn't tell me where it was. He just said 7 miles from downtown Phelps, and that and Bill Ball said he was backing them up.
And that's probably where he's talking about over at Long Fork.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if it's 7 miles or not, but I know it's a pretty good distance time you get across the hill.
It's about 8 miles, roughly. About 8 miles.
Okay,
Yeah, that's in
Doug,
the
if you would do that,
intersection.
we'll be glad to let them know in Frankfurt what exactly our situation is and see if their general counsel could give us some advice or our county attorney could advise us what we could do to bring this to fruition.
Judge, I'm not going to be satisfied, and I'll keep hounding and pushing because 8 miles into Phelps don't mean how many miles it is to Freeburg and Stopover and Papaw and Camp Creek and Blackberry and them areas over in there. You know, we still got a lot of grounds after we leave Phelps.
Sure have. Magistrate Dotson.
Okay, I guess we talked a little bit a while ago about our Hatfield McCoy trailhead there. I'm hoping that we can still keep that thing going. I believe, Judge, with your helper that you've hired, Mr. Stacker, I think he's going to be a big asset to our trail systems.
I think so.
And I'm hoping that we can start talking to some people about getting some signees that we can start using their properties. And I know you're for it. And
we got to get permission to get on the property. And Judge Hayes and Charles Carlton and Dan, they've been meeting after meeting with the land companies, and hopefully we'll have some good news coming.
Have we got something drawn up yet, John Doug or Roland, on what we would like to present to the landowners?
Magistrate Dodson, are you referring to the individual landowners that were named in that initial
individual and the companies?
Well, the companies on these enclosed or loop trails, for example, we do have an agreement. It's out. We're waiting to receive that back. That's from the one big company, and that's the 17-mile plus project that was erroneously reported as 7 miles at one time. That's the one up in the head of Beaver, Magistrate Murphy. Now, we don't have any agreements for individual landowners. There were 300 and some along phase 1 of that Skyward Trail or whatever that we were going to go across county with. If that's the one you're referring to, we don't even have a form agreement on that.
Now, Judge Hayes, that Skyward Trail was the one that they had first started in Prestonsburg to have several counties involved.
Right.
But this one here I'm referring to is the one that we spent about $95,000 to have it mapped and surveyed and get all the landowners. And I'd like to see Mr. Thacker be able to get copies of what we paid for through Summit, because I don't think they left you anything to go on, did they?
We have somewhere in our office a huge set of maps that show that entire survey that was done. I think you went out with them on a four-wheeler, and they had a four-wheeler of their own, and they identified some, Judge, help me here, 340, 350 different property owners, some corporate, the great majority were individuals, and And we do have that, and we can, if Roland would help us, well, we can maybe come up with some form of agreement, and Daniel could start on that. It's going to be a bear of a job, as you well know, and you will have to be a help too, because people know you and trust you over there. And Daniel, he won't know where to go, and you'll have to help find all these people, but we'll go ahead and march in that direction, and Roland, I know, will help us. He always does. Get us an agreement drawn up.
Thank you, John. I think, once we get the agreement drawn up, we probably need to go to the coal companies first. If we can't get them, there's no use to worry about the individual.
Correct.
I've been told by several.
I agree with that, Master Dotson, and that's what the state really is recommending now, that we go to 3,000 to 5,000 sites, and I think we'll be able to do that, Judge Hayes.
Well, again, you all are talking about two different apples and oranges there. I know what you're talking about, Judge. I know what Master Dotson's talking about, and he's talking about this one specific area that was identified.
But he's saying if you could go ahead and get your big site.
I understand that, and the big ones in that, I think, are mainly, if memory, I haven't looked at that in a long time, but if memory serves me correctly, with around 400 or 500 acres, or could have been some larger than that, yes.
Yeah, it goes all the way from Williamson to Virginia, up in around Hurley. But if we could get something going like that, and maybe advertise a trail meet sometime this summer, and get it, Brandon, on the internet, that we're going to have a meet at a certain location, and let the people come in and ride and see our trails. And I know, talking to Mike Witt over in Williamson, he said that's how they started. He said they had people come in and before they got the Hatfield-McCoy Trail and see what they had, and he said these people just kept wanting to come back, and that's how they've grown. And we might be able to get something from them, John, on what they had got the coal companies to agree on, because the same companies that we'll be dealing with, they dealt with, Alpha and people like that. But I appreciate, Judge, if we just keep that going, and our road, I know I talked to our senators and our representatives about Phelps to Pike, and they tell me that once 460 is completed, and they've told you that they would be looking into doing that road.
Right.
But we have so much mud over there, Judge, and I know these companies they're spending so much money and trying to wash it off, but it's so dangerous, and I just want to keep talking about it and see if we can one of these days see a better road from Phelps to Pike. And we met last week in Lexington with the coalition, all the coal counties, and we've got a list here, and I pretty much gave Brandon and Rhonda them. But you can see on that list that we're way down on our coal severance this year. It's,
our projection, though, was right on line on our coal severance, as I'm talking about what the treasurer and Rhonda and I finally ended up with, where we got hits on the mineral side.
Yeah.
And of the other counties, Madam Treasurer, where they got hit was on the coal side. So there's an investigation going on presently at the Department of Revenue to find out why the bottom dropped out of Pike County's mineral when we're always produce more than 50% of the natural gas, and not the other counties that produce around us in eastern Kentucky. So there are investigation going on now, trying to find out exactly what happened. Something happened.
And I'm hoping that you and the other masters can go to this legislative conference we're having this week and be able to talk to.
Scheduled to be there.
Talk to some of our people and tell them our troubles if they don't understand, and see if they can help us.
Well, they got a bill up, and Rhonda and Bobby Brandon both reviewing it. I hadn't had time this morning to read it. We just got it. Of trying to assist some of the counties, talking about Knott County, Floyd, and these counties that really got hit on the coal severance tax side. They got a piece of legislation in, and they're now reading it and going to evaluate it. And I'm supposed to make a call back, give them my recommendation since we're the largest county. After they tell me where it helps Pike County or hurts Pike County, the piece that's already been introduced in a House bill. Leslie Combs is on that committee. I noticed he sent a copy this morning.
They say Logan County is going to be the top co-producing county in the next little bit. They're getting their permits and everything in order, and we will be probably second. But I can't hardly believe that Logan County will ever go above Pike County. But we had a good meeting down there, and that's all I have, Judge.
Yeah. Magistrate Harris.
Judge, just want to confirm, Deputy Judge Hayes told me before the meeting that the agreement with for the parking at Hardy is in the final phase, and
my mic. I take it for granted everybody can hear me everywhere. It is done. I have not mailed it over to her, or actually I've got to send it back to her attorney, and if he okays it, he'll mail it to her, I think. Okay?
Okay, yep, as long as it's in the process. The other thing is there's a parcel of real estate that would be beneficial to the county without mentioning what it is. It'd be a parcel of recreational real estate to do with tourism. And I'd like to make a motion that I be authorized to retain the services of an appraiser to have this property appraised to look at acquisition by the county, and that money would be for the appraisal would be paid out of the District 6 Recreation account.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson? Yes. Magistrate Murphy? Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dodson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
And that's all I have, Judge.
Thank you, Magistrate Harris. Madam Treasurer.
Authorize any necessary transfers and interfund transfers to pay the bills, payroll, health, and life insurance.
Have a motion. Motion, Magistrate Murphy, second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson? Yes. Magistrate Murphy? Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dodson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Pass over the next two items to the next court meeting. Authorize payment of the expenditure approval list dated February 18th, 2013, and any other utility and telephone bills that are received before their checks are run at the end of the week. Plus, Honorable Herbie Deskins come in and present an attorney fee, and I let Roland review it, and he said it's okay to go ahead and put on the bill list. It's probably for a ad litem or something for $250 to Herbie Deskins to be added to the bill list.
He brought you a court order. Okay. Motion pay the bills. Motion, Magistrate Johnson, second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dodson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Abstain.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
We've accidentally deposited the Majestic Post Office money in solid waste. I need an authorization to issue a check from solid waste back to the consolidated account in the amount of $275.
Motion.
Got a motion. Have a second. Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dodson? Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
We've received another invoice from Perfection Group. It says for January's progress billing in the amount of $53,192. I've submitted it to get our draw for it, but I'm wondering, is the work being performed to the point that we need to send them another $53,000, or should we wait, and at what time we've been signed off on to send the check at that time?
My understanding, they just arrived last week with their crews, and they are working. So I'd
we've
say
already
we need
sent
to
them
wait for the next court.
$201,000.
I'd say you need to wait till the next court
Okay,
meeting.
we'll wait till next court meeting. We'll get the funds in-house.
I've discussed that with Mr. Rogers yesterday.
We'll pass over on that one to the next court meeting.
Just a minute, John.
Then there was an issue with the county attorney's office, which the assistant county attorney has reviewed and says that we need to issue a check back to taxis for the refund of solid waste money collected back in '08, was it, on a bought tax ticket, in the amount of $1,119.53.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Anderson, have a second. Mr. Johnson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Ruth?
Yes.
I have no further business, Judge.
We don't need to go into closed session, Judge Hayes, in regard to personnel.
Each magistrate has a personnel agenda. No one has requested an executive session. And Judge, this is the recommendations of personnel. First, a weed mower CDL driver, road lot number 1 at Johns Creek, a 3H rate of pay. We passed that from the last meeting, instructing the road commissioner to test the bidders, and he did so and reported back that Bobby R. Phillips, who was a temporary employee that is qualified, be awarded that job, and that is our recommendation. Next, a heavy equipment operator, road lot number 1, Johns Creek, a 5H rate of pay. Same thing is true there. They were tested, and Commissioner Hatcher has reported back that Isaac Sanders is the senior, is a qualified employee. He's also the senior employee. We recommend Isaac Sanders for that position. Next, Judge, we have a truck driver position at road lot number 3 at Belcher, a 3H rate of pay. Number of employees, both full-time and temporary, have bid on that job, 5 to be exact, and pursuant to the policy of this court, we recommend that Commissioner Hatcher test these employees and advise the court by the next court meeting as to the qualifications to perform that job. That's the 3 posted items, Judge. We do need approval to hire Dennis A. Maynard as a temporary weed mower CDL driver for road lot number 1 at 3H rate of pay effective January 28, 2013. Now, so the court understands, we've now hired, as of today, a permanent employee in that position, but that's to enable this fellow to get paid. And of course, as of tomorrow, that employee will no longer be needed in that position. Next, we need approval to hire 2 seasonal employees over at Grants Branch Park, Judge. That's a good sign, means spring is approaching. Grants Branch opens earlier than any other of our parks. It opens on March the 1st, 2013. So we need approval to hire Ryan Ward and Lester Stanley, 2 seasonal employees that have been over there some time, I believe. That employment at a 2H pay rate would be effective March the 1st, 2013. The other thing, Judge, we need, this court needs to set a date on which we're to hire our seasonal weed mowers, our seasonal mowing crews. As this court is aware, we always offer those jobs to those employees who were employed last year and who were laid off. They get first priority, and if they fill them, that's it. If not, we go to our applicant pool. But last year, this court hired our seasonals as of April the 1st. I believe, and I would recommend to the court that we have them on board at least by Hillbilly Days, because we make great use of those fellas in what the county does for Hillbilly Days. So, as I said, it was April the 1st last year, and leave the rest up to the court's discretion. That's all we have, Judge.
The date will be the same date they hired last year, and that's my recommendation and my motion in regard to the personnel recommendation.
All seasonal will be April the 1st, with the exception of the 2 that hopefully you're going to approve at Grants Branch here in a second, who will go start March the 1st because they already opened that park on that date.
Got a motion and a second? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson? Yes. Mr. Johnson? Yes. Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Any commissioner or director have any questions or anything? If not, motion to adjourn.
Thank you.